Hello learners, welcome to our program of Tribal Entrepreneurship and Economics. Today we are going to deliver the lecture number 5 of module 6. This module is dedicated for tribal indigenous entity economic activities of tribes for entrepreneurship. This particular lecture will be dealing on these both aspects, that is the tribal indigenous entity and the economic activities of tribes for entrepreneurship. So let us look upon the first aspect, that is tribal indigenous entity. In common terms, we actually consider a tribal indigenous entity as a group or a community of people who identify as indigenous and organize themselves under a tribal or communal structure. Or simply speaking, a group of different tribal clans can be considered as tribal indigenous entity. These are different entity because they have unique cultures, languages, traditions and the governance system in their clans. In India, we popularly term them as Adivasis in a collective name. Some examples of tribal indigenous entity are as follows. The number one is Warli tribe. These are the tribes which are mostly situated nearby the Maharashtra and Gujarat area, and these are also found at the outskirts of Mumbai city as well. They are popularly famous for their Warli painting, and you can see the picture here in this slide that the Warli painting is basically a painting which has certain geometric shapes which are based on the daily life activities. You can see the depiction of one circle there, some trees there, some houses, and by this way this Warli painting has been very popular all across the world. These paintings have a high demand not only in the country but across the globe. And these Warli tribes are actually developing one type of tribal entrepreneurship using these painting system. The next example of tribal entrepreneurship through tribal indigenous entity is Dongriya Kond tribe. This tribe is basically based on Odisha, and they are famous for the cultivation of different types of crops, basically rice, millets, in the terraced hill slopes. You can see a diagram where little bit hilly area is being developed for the crop cultivation, and usually they cultivate the rice, but this particular picture was taken when the millets were grown into these particular areas. These Kond people are also engaged in the ecotourism initiative and offering visitors a chance to experience their culture. They also provide a visit to their natural surroundings, and by these all three types of aspects, that is cultivation, ecotourism, they are generating income for their community, and hence this has been taken as an example of the tribal entrepreneurship into this slide. The another example is Lambani tribe. The Lambani tribe are also known as the Banjara community, which are scattered across various states in India, including the Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, Telangana and Maharashtra. They are known for their embroidery work, and their clothes and accessories are high on demand for different dance performances, not only into their community but also in the movies and cinemas. There is one picture with this slide which is showing that how dense and deep their embroidery work is, which is particularly a feature of this tribal community. By this way, this tribal community has identified their entrepreneurial skills by selling the clothes embroidered with their different tribal work. The next example is Apatani tribe. This tribe resides near the Zero Valley of Arunachal Pradesh, where they are doing the sustainable agricultural practices, and with the same area they are cultivating the rice and also the fish farming and horticulture activities. There are number of pictures available over the websites where you can see that how planned way they are performing all these three activities in their land. Not only this, they are also giving opportunities to the tourist to visit their places and giving an idea of ecotourism, which we were talking about in the last chapter. If we see the picture here mentioned with the slide, it is showing that the rice cultivation is going on. At the same side, the fish farming also takes place along with this particular activity. And so, Apatini tribe are also a better example of tribal entrepreneurship. Next comes the Siddhi tribe. We have talked about always the products which are available through the tribal area, but this Siddhi tribe are actually famous for their different dance forms and music. You can see also in the picture that this is a dance movement by the Siddhi tribe women, which are showing that their culture is having the heritage, it is having the idea of performing the dance and music for different types of festivals across the year. In that way, they are promoting their culture also and also earning a good amount, which is mentioning that this tribal community has developed their idea of entrepreneurial zeal by providing their services through the form of dance. Now, let us deal with the economic activities of tribes for entrepreneurship. We have come across with number of lectures where it has been mentioned that there are number of activities that can serve as opportunities for entrepreneurship. These opportunities are mostly closely linked with the natural resources and traditional knowledge available to these communities. Some of these economic activities which are suitable for the entrepreneurial activities for the tribes of India are mentioned herewith. The first one is the handicraft and artisanal work. We might have gone to number of haats, maybe some Swadesi Bazaar, maybe some craft mela near our cities, where we must have been astonished to see that what a varied type of handicrafts and artisanship is available in their work. Yes, these all are the work prepared by the tribal community itself. They have a very vast knowledge of different handicraft manufacturing, and not only this, the different tribes have the different idea of preparing them with their natural resources they have near to their area. So, handicraft and artisanal works are always will be on high demand from the tribal community. The next point is the agroforestry and agriculture. It is not like that tribals are just kind of wandering society. They are actually well placed society as well, and they know the cultivation of crops and the agriculture along with the forestry better than most of us. It is already seen that how the Apatini tribe are actually developing their cultivation habits in such a way that even the tourists across the globe are looking forward to see their area, not for the cultivation also, but for the scenic beauty to their locations. The next one is ecotourism and hospitality. This particular area is widely accessible for most of the northeastern hilly areas. Reason being that most of the community belongs to them are tribal in nature, and they have number of hills and greenery which can attract the tourists who are ecologically enthusiastic to visit these places. Also, it is to be noted that since the tribal communities are usually very humble and honest, they have a very different idea of hospitality. The next point is livestock rearing and animal husbandry. We can understand that since the advent of the human in this earth, probably the humans might have learned the rearing of animals since the past time, and naturally the tribal entrepreneurs can also rear number of types of animals and can make use of them in the form of cattle, goats, poultry, and can turn their enterprise profitable. Not only this, they can generate the wool, meat, and milk from these types of animals and can increase the economic potential of their community. The next point is handloom and textiles, which is already mentioned that number of tribals are very good in handloom weaving with the natural fibers and their different types of dyes. These entrepreneurial opportunities of the dyeing the different types of designs in the bed sheets, and most of us are actually looking forward to purchase it from the fancy stores. If these products can be directly available from the tribal entrepreneur side, it could be less costly and more meaningful and probably more genuine than what we purchase from the big stores. The forest based enterprises are those enterprises which are non-timber forest products. It can include the medicinal herbs, honey, resins, and other types of entrepreneurial ventures which can be grown from the forest area itself. It is also important that the forest conservation plans should be adopted, and tribal community should manage to conserve their area along with the sustainably using these forest abundantly available products for the sale and earning some income. The skill development and education is also one of the important part of the economic activities in entrepreneurship. Training program can be provided to these tribal entrepreneurs so that they know a little bit of the modern technologies, the business management and marketing by which they can empower their tribal community. Think of a simple example that if they have been given this idea of using the UPI transactions for their business activities, they can learn how to manage the funds and how can earn better from the advanced payments, the advanced requirement of their products. The next point is community based enterprises. When the different types of tribal communities produces different types of products, they can form one collaborative venture in the form of some community shop or some processing units by which they can pool their resources and expertise for the tribe and for their mutual benefit. This particular enterprise can promote the collective ownership and ensure the equitable distribution of profits. Now, after talking about the economic activities, let me see how to improve these economic activities, and we can see the number of points are here. Like the first one is technological integration. It is true that most of the tribal entrepreneurs are knowing their knowledge from their cultural heritage. At the same time, if they have to scale up the production of their goods which are being actually generated through the natural resources, certain type of technological integration will always be required. The second part is skill development and education. It is not only that they learn from their family, but if their skill could be developed to the number of other people of their own community, it will enhance the chances of raising the production without deteriorating the resources. The third part is the access to finance, for which the government is working in a good length, that any of the tribal entrepreneur which is having a good plan which could be made in action will be provided certain type of financing through different ministries. The fourth point is value addition and market linkage. The main part is this, that their products should be of so quality and different in nature that they give some value addition to the customers, and there should be some linkages with the market so that the product from their distant areas can be accessed to the local markets. NGOs do a good work here with the little amount of taking of profit. Next is the sustainable development. Not only the tribal entrepreneurs, but for all the entrepreneurs, it is important that whatever they are producing, that should be being done by the optimum uses of the natural resources, raw materials and other types of items, so that in the process of production, the other aspects of the ecology should not be compromised. The next point is policy support and legal recognition. When the tribal entrepreneur wants to start certain business, he should be given certain policy support in terms of what are the tribal rights available to them, what are the land rights available to them, and how the finances can be accessed from the government side so that they can start a business. And their work should have certain kind of recognition for which the product could be served to the general customers. Take for an example, there is one FSSAI recognition for the production done from the forest area. This should be given to the tribal production also. It may be possible that the tribal community might not be knowing of achieving this particular recognition from the different ministry or the department of it, but the government itself should take this initiative that their products should be recognized by this particular norms. Then comes the partnership and collaboration. The partnership and collaboration is highly required for the tribal community so that the cultural heritage should be intact, and also access to the different marketing areas, access to the different way of communication and networking be generated. And for this, a partnership with some honestly working NGOs is highly required. There may be some business houses also which can give this type of collaborations to the tribal population. There is one better example of Tata Trust, which is providing basic education to the tribal people by establishing the primary schools nearby to their locations. The next point is cultural preservation and empowerment. As I have said, that with the scope of going into the entrepreneurship, they have to access to the market, but at the same time they have to preserve their culture from not to be encroached from the outer side. And also they need to empower themselves from the financial side as well and from the educational side also. Infrastructural development is also one of the major thing which is required, if not to the last point, but to the nearest point. The necessary road infrastructure, healthcare should be provided to the tribal population for their betterment and for their best of working habits. Lastly, there should be monitoring and evaluation of whatever the policy, whatever the programs being taken in the name of the tribals by the government, as the programs and policies are raised from the central government side and has to be implemented by the local government, maybe the municipal corporation, maybe the panchayats, and their proper monitoring can only give the notion that yes, these all policies and features, these all programs have been aptly reached to the right community. Now, after talking about how we can improve the economic activities, let me also see that how the economic activity can boost the Indian economy. When we are talking about the economic activity, we are talking in terms of tribal entrepreneur itself. If the earlier said aspects being provided to the tribal entrepreneurs, naturally it will increase the number of jobs among the unemployed youths of the tribal belt, and they can help in generating more economic resources for their community as well as the economy. The second point is also related with the job creation itself, that it will help them to generate the number of sources of income, not only by the producing the products, but also by providing the services of their teaching them, providing the teaching for their different dance forms, providing embroidery work, ecotourism, agroforestry, and number of other aspects are available for the tribal entrepreneurs, by which they can generate more income. By generating more of income, naturally it will add up to the Indian economy. The utilization of resources. There are still number of other plants and herbs which are less explored by the common people. Their advantages might be known to the tribal population, and these can be explored from the natural vegetation, and their utilization can be done at the optimum level. Then comes the promotion of inclusive growth. Yes, it is true that the tribal population has been remained secluded from the inclusive growth idea of the Indian government. The reason might be any, but with this idea of providing basic amenities, infrastructure and other features by the government to the tribal communities, now the tribal communities can also take part in the inclusive growth of the overall of society. Not only this, the preservation of cultural heritage is also required, that the tribal communities should be included in the inclusive growth format of the government, but at the same time their cultural heritage should be preserved so that their uniqueness should not be hampered. The sixth part is very much challenging and promising, that is talking about the export potential. There are number of products which are highly required in the outer world also, but since, as we have said, that the tribal production, the production from the tribal entrepreneurs should be of sustainable in nature, it should not be maximizing the use of the natural resources and hence the deteriorating the overall concept of the flora and fauna. But yes, at the same time, some of the elements, some of the products, some of the herbs can be exported to the other areas of the world, and hence provides a better export potential. The entrepreneurial innovation is also one aspect where the tribal entrepreneurs can do better, because they only have the access to the ancestral knowledge with which they can develop number of items and number of other products which the common people might not be knowing. And so the entrepreneurial innovation is high for their community. The other point is rural development. When we are developing the tribal entrepreneurship, it will naturally develop the rural area alongside to the tribal locations, and by this the overall chain of economic growth will take place, where the tribal will be helping the rural areas and rural might be providing the required funds to the tribal entrepreneurs for their better development. Ninth point is environmental sustainability, which is saying that now all types of entrepreneurs should need to look into this point, that the environmental sustainability is required by their business. They need to be doing their work in such a manner that it should be helpful for the present generation and for the future generation as well. They should not be using any kind of inputs on a maximum side, but on an optimum side. Lastly, the government revenue. When the tribal entrepreneurs will flourish, it will increase the income generation for the community, for the society, and for the government at large. And by this way, the government can also add up its revenue, and not only this, the per capita income of the country will also grow up. Thank you for today's lecture.